Hello and welcome to the next video in the Space Marine release week for 8th edition. And today we're going to be unboxing the Primaris Redemptor Dreadnought, and then I'll be giving you a model and build review of it once it's completed, all in one video. So the first thing when you see the box is obviously the model on the front, and then to continue with the gilded plate we've got Weaponized War Tomb. With the different weapon options, the Macro Plasma Incinerator, the Onslaught Heavy Gatling Cannon, a Heavy Flamer, a Sarcophagus which is under hatches that I think they can open up from the way it looks. If not, it's just for some diorama pieces. Heavy Flamer option, a Light Onslaught Gatling Cannon, and then a Redemptor Fist. Now from what I've seen online of images, this is a big Dreadnought, comparable in size to a Leviathan Dreadnought from Forge World, and that borders on Small Titan. So we take it out of the box and set it aside, and we've got the card rulebook, 3 sprues, which I'll set aside for now, the transfer sheet that won't really show up well, so let's see what I can do. So we've got the different types again. Like I noted, we've got Battle Line, Close Support, Fire Support, Veteran and Command this time, as opposed to the regular Troop, Fast Attack, Heavy Support, Elite and HQ. We get some livery options as well, just to spruce it up a little bit. Very big base, not sure what size is off the top of my head. I think it might be 70mm, but doesn't say in there. I'll probably say in the rulebook. So, yeah, and then we're onto the card rulebook, showing the different options. So, similar to the Aggressor and all recent GW packs, we've got the full colour card rulebook, just breaking down different options. It looks like there's not a lot, there's some not glue, so I think it does slot open. I think the legs and stuff bend as well, so it seems to be a very posable kit, and that's what GW was saying in the reviews for it. And then we're on to the rules. So it's unlike regular Dreadnoughts and similar to Contemptor Dreadnought, it's got a damage track where its basic stats, so it starts off with movement 8, ballistic skill 3+, and weapon skill 3+, with strength 7, toughness 7, 13 wounds, 4 attacks, 8 leadership, and a save of 3+. So this sits firmly between your standard Dreadnought and a Contemptor for stats. For different weapon options, you can take a Fragstone grenade launcher, similar to the Aggressor squads, but you get 2 of them on this one, so it's an 18-inch assault D6 shot. Heavy Flamer on the wrist, a Heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon, which is a 30-inch heavy 12 strength 5 AP -1 damage 1 weapon. The Icarus Rocket Pod, which is a 24-inch annoyance versus flying targets, but due to the fact there's a lot more fly in the game now, so this would target Interceptors, Assault Marines, Tau, mech suits, etc. Then we got the Macro Plasma Incinerator, which is your anti-vehicle option, which is a heavy D6, strength 8, AP -4, damage 1, or you can supercharge it to get it up to strength 9, AP -4, damage 2, but because it's a vehicle, if you roll a 1, instead of it dying, it just suffers a mortal wound. And then the small Onslaught Gatling Cannon is a heavy 6, with the same strength, AP and damage of the Heavy Onslaught. And then we get the option for Stonebolter, which you take in pairs, so you take the choice between having a guaranteed 4 shot up to 24 inches and 8 at 12 inches to potentially get more shots at 18 inches. but with a randomized. And then we're on the Redemptor Fist, which is a 2x strength, so it takes up to strength 14. There's an AP of -3 and does D6 damage per hit. So it's very similar to a las cannon with higher strength. It'll be damaging a lot of light vehicles on a 2+, and most vehicles on a 3+. It also has an explode, so when it's reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6. If on a 6, all units within 6 inches suffer d6 mortal wounds, as opposed to previous editions where if you rolled an explode result, you'd roll how many inches, then they take hits. So instead now it's just a flat 6 inches. And then of course we just have the rules in different languages, and then where to apply certain colours, etc. So let's have a look at the sprues. So these are a lot of mismatch of parts, as you can probably tell. I believe this is to build the waist, or possibly even the body, but here I know these are the leg parts. It is a very posable kit from what I've heard, with pegs for slots, but you can just cut those pegs out and use them instead. So we've got the 2 sarcophagi, well, the 2 casket options first. So we've got one which is just the Angel of Death symbol, or we've got the Imperial Aquila holding a Crux Terminatus. So the Onslaught Gatling Cannon is essentially a assault cannon turned up 11, and who doesn't like miniguns on things? The Macroplasma Incinerator is also a decent option, but I think I'll be turning against that, largely because I'm going to be using the Iron Hands for my Dusk Raiders, so using their special stratagem of allowing my Dreadnought to essentially fire its 18 shots because it's heavy with no penalty, versus the smaller number of shots you get with the Macroplasma Incinerator. It just seems a better trade-off. Purity Seal options, we get the option for the 2 Fragstorm launchers, the Icarus missile pod, the Storm bolters, not heavy bolters like I thought they were going to be, and just the 1 sarcophagus option for the Dreadnought. I believe this is longer than a standard Dreadnought one, but I don't have a Casterham Dreadnought to look at, well, the size. And then we're on to shoulders and the caskets, etc. If you look closely here, that's one of the pegs I mentioned. So it looks, from the sound of it, you can use those to keep it in a pose that GW has designed, and just pose the arms, waist, etc. Or you can trim them down to get a fully posable miniature, which is an approach I like. It sits firmly between the monopose and multi-pose options, where you get the option to either build it the way GW is designed, or you can build it your own way if you, for example, do a lot of Forge Worlds, so you know how to put together Dreadnoughts well. So yeah, that has been the unboxing portion of this video. I'll cut back once the model is built with a build review, the model review, and probably a size comparison with some other Dreadnought models. I'll be back soon. And here we have the Redemptor Dreadnought completely built. And I have to say, on a scale of 1 to 10 for the massiveness, he's bloody. It's a very big model, it's very bulky, it towers over pretty much everything I've put it next to against the Primaris Marine. You can see here that tiny minuscule there, they just reach the knees. With a regular Marine it's even smaller, like so. A Tartarus Terminator, just to use the same height comparisons as the aggressors from yesterday's video. Again, it's a little bit bigger, it reaches his thigh. And then finally we'll use one of the aggressors from yesterday. You can see the aggressors are just below the sarcophagus. This kit, despite the amount of parts, was a lot simpler to put together than I thought it was going to be, I'll admit that. The only issue I really had was keeping the body on, so I instead opted, when I was gluing it, to remove both the arms you can do this like so, and then that reduces some of the weight and unevenness. Now the arms are bendable, this one isn't. I've decided to glue it in place because I'm happy with the pose, and I probably will with this one as well once I've decided on how I'm going to pose it. The casket does open up. Unfortunately, due to the pose I've gone for, I've had to glue this shut. Oh, never mind. When I was testing it earlier, it wouldn't open, but it seems it was just stuck. When I was building it, I didn't really come across any issues. The only thing I'd really say is getting the sarcophagus in was a little bit tight. So I would recommend when you're building it to, instead of follow the instruction where it says build the two halves then put sarcophagus in, I'd put the sarcophagus into one of the halves first and then glue it together. It'll be a much snugger fit. A lot of the parts are interchangeable. For example, the leg joint here, those are completely opposite. Another thing I thought was clever was behind this circle there's a hole, and it features the same slots as on the inside of the leg. This basically allowed you to swap the legs around if you wanted to instead have a flip, or if you were if you wanted instead for the more poseable option, you could also snip the peg out of the knees and it was fully bendable. You're only given one deconstructed foot for posing. However, these look simple enough to clip up and pose as needed. One final size comparison I want to do is with the plastic Redemptor Dreadnought. Now from here they look relatively similar in height. It's clear this one is bigger. It's also bulkier, but it tells a different story when you look at them. No, that won't work on the camera. When you look at them like this, where even with his buckled knee, the Redemptor doesn't even reach the top of its shoulder blades. The Redemptor Dreadnought really is huge. I've decided to go with the heavy Onslaught Gatling cannon, the Onslaught Gatling cannon on the wrist, and the Fragstorm launchers, basically to just try and get the maximum number of shots as possible. Now I know the Fragstorm does, it is very swingy on how many shots you get due to its D6 nature, but you are getting a minimum of 2 at 18 inches, averaging out between 6 and 8. Which gives you roughly on par the same amount of shots as a rapid fire Stormbolter option, but at an additional 6 inches. However, the maximum range of them is only 18 compared to the Stormbolter's 24. So there are arguments to be made for both of them, and I can see why you would. But yeah, another kit that I'm very happy with. I'm happy with the posability. I'm definitely going to be getting another one to do a macro plasma incinerator option to make it more anti-vehicle. And to give the posing a go, so that might turn up in a future Primaris project episode. But yeah, that has been the complete unboxing, model review and build review of the Redemptor Dreadnought. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a like if you did, and subscribe to be notified of more content. Thank you.